Hello, Steve White, Steve White 39. Okay, I'm kind of interested in this subject, so I just sort of want to do a video. But I have to admit, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I grew up in the era of Star Trek versus Star Wars, and I wasn't a huge Star Wars fan. I was a Star Trek fan. I always felt that Star Wars was the lesser of the two. That Star Trek was more intelligent. Star Wars was just for the populace. I don't know. And I mean, I saw it on TV. It was like 3 movies, it was like 3 events done, whereas Star Trek was like all the time being fed it, and I really liked it. So Luke Skywalker wasn't really my hero. My hero was more the Christopher Reeves Superman, or the Adam West Batman, or animated characters like He-Man, Optimus Prime, Spock from Star Trek. Those are sort of my heroes when I was growing up, not Luke Skywalker. But I mean, I just never got the image of the whiny sort of character from the first movie out of my head, no matter how much he changed. I still sort of saw him that way. But I liked the films. I saw them on TV, then I watched them on video when they came out in the special editions and stuff, and all that. And then I saw the prequels, and I kind of liked them. I mean, the elements I liked, the other elements I didn't, blah, blah. And then we got to the latest ones, and I went all excited because I wanted to see the original cast again and everything. And then I'm sitting in it, and I'm like, this is just like a remake of A New Hope, and we're not getting the people together. And I'm like, oh my God, I just realized Luke wasn't even in the film, and like, what, he doesn't even speak? What that? I sort of walked out feeling like, what the hell was that? Then, yeah, so I wasn't really impressed. And the other film, like what they did with Luke, I wasn't personally damaged by the fact that they sort of turned this hero into a sort of coward who was sort of hiding from the world on this island and just drinking blue, whatever that thing was, milk. I wasn't that really upset about it, but I started to hear about what all the Star Wars fans were saying, and I started to realise that this was it was a thing for them, and this was a problem for them, and starting to sympathise and thinking, well, how did I feel about how Kirk was killed in Generations? I wasn't entirely happy with the way they did that, because that was a Next Generation thing where they wanted to get rid of Kirk so they could move on, and it wasn't great. It was okay. In retrospect, it was a hell of a lot better than how they treated Luke and Han in the sequels. But I wasn't really upset about it, but I really started to appreciate how other people felt that their hero had been destroyed, and realising that there seemed to be a lot of bizarre politics involved, that it was all about Luke being seen as some sort of representation of the patriarchy and just all this just external political rubbish rather than just the actual character and his merits. And I started to sort of realise this is kind of not good, and it's bad for the franchise because you're damaging your relationship with the fans. And then we sort of had this whole era from about 2016, and there are a lot of people making allegations that basically when Trump came in, basically Hollywood reacted by going over the top with the political correctness and gender issues and all the gender politics and all that. And I'm sort of seeing there is a parallel there. As a gay man who was always wanting more representation and equality and diversity, it's gotten to the point now where even I am looking at it and I'm like, this is off, and I don't feel represented, but I do feel exploited. And I know other minorities are feeling the same way. So there's just a lot of drama happening. And then finally, out of the blue, we get The Mandalorian, which seems to be going back to the old school Star Wars vibe and feeling, and people are loving it. They're enjoying it. They've got great female characters who are strong, intelligent, and they don't seem to be imposing on anyone. They don't seem to be there to replace or humiliate or anything. It's not like they have to demean the male characters to have the female characters look strong. All the sort of tropes that they were beginning to repeat in Hollywood, this seemed to be outside of that. Like some other shows are being credited for doing diversity but not rubbing it in people's faces, and sort of showing that people they're not objecting to the diversity itself. When it's just organically put into things, people don't really even seem to notice, because most people don't care. Some do, because there are incredibly racist people out there, but they're not the majority, I believe. And I don't even believe most Trump people are racist, Trump supporters and that. Like there's like half the country, half of America, or a third of America at least, are Trump supporters, but I don't think they're all racist, evil people. They've got other issues why they're sort of following someone who is. But now we get to the end of Mandalorian Season 2. Now, I missed the end of Mandalorian Season 2 because I thought there were more episodes, and I was waiting to get to the last 4 episodes, and I was just going to sign up for Disney Plus for 1 month and watch Season 1 again and watch Season 2 up to date, and then just do the last like 4 episodes and do weekly reviews. That was sort of my plan. Thinking that there were like 16 episodes and not realising they were counting the first 8 from Season 1, and that's how they were counting them. So I heard that referred to a couple of times and totally got it wrong. So I missed it. I just saw all these posts coming about Luke Skywalker, the final of Mandalorian. I'm like, what the hell? And I just viewed a little video, a couple of minutes just of Luke going through all the droids and then taking the hood up and then, taking Grogu. And I was in tears. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. They brought Luke back. They showed him as a Jedi. They actually showed him being a hero. This just helps. And so many Star Wars fans, people who really, and like I said, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. Luke wasn't really a hero of mine, but I was upset with what they did to him, and I was happy and literally cried for joy that they did this. Probably more so for what it meant to other people than what it really meant to me, just that they did it. And then what happens? Can we have this moment where Star Wars is redeemed and people are actually giving it a second chance and watching it in droves and signing up and all this and all the goodwill it engendered of going, okay, you don't hate Luke, you're trying to undo what was done in that film series, blah, blah, blah. And what do you get? A bunch of trolls coming out and saying, oh, no, he still turns into the loser in the, those films anyway, you're going to lose your hero anyway. Just malicious, nasty. And then you realise these aren't just coming from random trolls like the kind I get on my YouTube, but some of them are actually people that work in this Lucasfilm and Disney. And the main one, and there's more than one, the main one, Pablo Hidalgo, he literally came out, and poor Star Wars Fury. I love Star Wars Fury. He's a cute guy. I know he's straight and everything, who cares? He did a fan film a while ago that got copyright protected by Disney and the record label that was, licensing the music or whatever. And they sorted it out, and he still talked good about them. He got past it. He's a true fan, nice guy. Haven't seen do or say anything to bother me in any way. He seems like a really nice, genuine, honest fan, passionate about it. He did a reaction to the episode, not knowing what was going to happen. He cried for 15 minutes. He cried all the way through the scene and afterwards, and he was just so happy that they did this. And it's a beautiful thing. All these people who love this character, seeing it be resurrected, basically. This childhood character, this childhood hero, this I could get emotional talking about. This guy went through chemo, and Luke was his hero, the person that helped him go through that when he was a kid. And then this a-hole, Pablo Hidalgo, who is not his first crime, goes and basically mocks this guy on Twitter and posts comments basically saying, he shouldn't be, he's basically a girl, basically, because he's being emotional and he shouldn't be showing emotions. So what he was really saying was men shouldn't show emotions. And Star Wars fans who show emotions are sad, pathetic people who are overly attached to this, white male sort of, just all this agenda crap in the background that's bringing all this up in this person, that's motivating all this. You can see it. And it's just really warped. And this is someone that works for Lucasfilm that they are paying. And now the rumour is that there are people who are so offended by what happened in The Mandalorian, because there seems to be a little bit of a culture war with Star Wars where you've got the people working on The Mandalorian trying to stay true to the original Star Wars, and the people at Lucasfilm who are trying to eliminate, the people from Disney who are now working, taking over running Lucasfilm. They are trying to destroy the old Star Wars, so their Star Wars that they've created, they can get the licensing and all the money from that. So they've got their own money reasons, and they've got their political reasons because they see all these things that the old movies represent and all this. And the amazing thing, which I'm getting to after 9 minutes, is that Variety and some mainstream media outlets are actually chiming in on this and saying, this is messed up. How can you create this have this character that people love, this legacy character. You destroy them, fans get upset, you mock them, then you realise when you start losing business that, oh, maybe you shouldn't have killed your hero. Maybe, you know, the legacy characters at least need to be, even if they aren't to be replaced by newer characters and for the show to go on and all that over the generations, which in theory it should, you at least have to treat them with respect if you're going to pass the torch. So if you're going to do all that, and then when it works and you bring him back and people are happy and they're crying and they're fanboying and they're celebrating and they're writing posts and saying all is forgiven, keep doing this, we will keep supporting you, basically. That was the basic goodwill that came out of this. People saying Star Wars is safe for like a good 5-10 years if they don't do anything to F it up. What's the first thing they do? Trash the people for having this reaction. So you create this experience that you want to touch people, you want to be important, and then when it is, you mock them. It's just insanity. And variety, you know, variety is like the trade sort of paper and always has been, basically saying the same thing, that they are trashing the fans, and it's insanity. You can't have the people making the product trashing the people who actually buy and like the product. That's what has just happened. I mean, it happened a couple of days ago. I sort of saw a few articles, but between my own dramas and News Eve and everything, I sort of didn't watch it. And then I wasn't going to do a video on it, but then I started to listen to other videos about it. I'm like, this is a big thing, and the mainstream media is actually starting to take notice of it. They're starting to realise that, oh, perhaps the fans that had a problem with what they were doing at Lucasfilm aren't a bunch of white, straight incels. Because I'm not, like, I'm very white, but I'm not straight. I'm not an incel. Or actually, thanks to coronavirus, I kind of am, but I think most people are. In this era of lockdowns and quarantines and self-isolation and stuff. But all that aside, as soon as I get the vaccine, I'll be picking other things. But I'm just glad that this is getting mainstream awareness. People are kind of realizing, oh, maybe it wasn't the fans. Maybe they're not all a bunch of incels. Like I was making the point, I'm not one of those. And a lot of people who had the same reaction to what they were doing weren't incels either. They were females. They were people of colour. They were, you know, gay people. It wasn't just all a bunch of guys like Hill versus Babyface. Because unfortunately, some of the main critics do look like the Star Wars, Star Trek sort of fan stereotypes. They're big, fat, old white guys who are just grumpy and mean, but not all of them are. Unfortunately, they're the ones that get the most attention and the most press. But then you have people like Mecca Random, who is, you know, not a redhead, but well, she's redhead, but like a white woman. So, you know, and she seems to have no lack of fun. So she's not an incel. So how does she fit into that equation? I don't. A lot of people don't, and they're finally realizing, I think, oh, maybe the problem is with Disney, or at least it's not just the fans. Maybe it's a mutual issue, at the very least. So this is good. We've made some movement. After 4 years of the studios attacking the fans and vilifying them, instead of looking at themselves and realising, oh, gee, we're not really representing our fan base or giving them what they want, because of political reasons and all this ridiculous stuff, of the idea of trying, like, we don't like those people. We want to build our own audience of these great people we imagine are out there as an audience, and then they're kind of not. So this is good. I hope it keeps going. I hope we get awareness. I hope people like Pablo Hidalgo either get fired or get a clue. I'm not really for cancel culture, but I don't exactly cry when people I think are shit do get cancelled, because I'm like, yeah, you kind of deserve that. If you got cancelled, I wouldn't cry. But it'd just be nice if you got a clue and stop doing what he was doing, and then people will forgive if you change what you're doing, and, you know, don't do what hurts people or people don't like. People usually are okay and happy to move on. They don't hold grudges. Some people do, like Matt on was it Tom? No, Tom on Midnight's Edge is like, no, I'm not letting go of this hatred, and I have to like stand up for all the people who are holding grudges. You know, we're not just going to forgive because one scene with Luke. That was very funny to hear, because I'm like, wow. Even the other people were like, what are you caught on? What are you stuck on? He's like, I'm defending all these people who like aren't here, who aren't going to let this go. And I'm like, just let it go. But yeah, so I just want to talk about that, because I just want to be part of the conversation on the other side of saying we should change this, even if, you know, I'm not a big YouTuber or anything. I at least just want to add one more video to that conversation of saying Disney wrong, fans mostly right. There's a few of the people that they've characterized the whole fan base with. Those people do exist. They're just not the majority, and they're not the people that really matter. They're the people that probably capitalized on it the most. But yeah, I can't believe this went for 15 minutes. Like I said, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I'm not a huge fan of Luke Skywalker. He wasn't my hero as I was growing up, but I do still care about him. I care about Mark Hamill's legacy. Hearing the tweets he's written about, seeing the reactions and how much it's meant to him to sort of see the redemption of this character and the fans, how much it means to them, it means a lot to him. That's really beautiful. I'm really happy for him as well, because he was not happy with how everything went either, and that must be really hard as an actor to basically have to play the character as another character to be able to do it, because it's so out of the character that you've established. And like he called it, he said, I can't see this as Luke Skywalker. I have to, when I'm playing this character, I have to play him as Jake Skywalker, because he's not Luke. This is not what Luke would do, blah, blah, blah. But he was probably already contracted to make the films before he even saw a script, because he probably just assumed it wouldn't be like it was. Like, why would you, how would you predict that? So he was probably stuck, and it just meant a lot to him. And all this stuff is good. It's all getting the attention it should. I just hope something changes, and the people at Lucasfilm and that are the problem either move on, change, adapt, get on the right side of history, Star Wars history, or get replaced because the people above actually realise, oh, these people are actually detrimental to our franchise's success and longevity. But yeah, I'm going to go because I've talked way, way, way too long. But it's interesting to me, and I do actually have some feelings about it, and I would love to see some way to get around The Last Jedi and actually have Luke be redeemed on a bigger level. And I kind of need to watch those films again, because I only saw them once in the cinema and once before I went to see the last film. And it just takes time to really appreciate and get a sense of sometimes how films are sort of working and in relation to the other films and the fan bases and the franchise and all that. So I think I'm going to have a little Star Wars day and watch all the films again. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Feel free to ding the bell as well. It does help. And I'm going to go back to being very, very hot. In Australia, it's if you're not obviously watching this from Australia, it gets very hot around this time of year, because we're on the bottom of the planet, double side from you guys. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, because in the past, when it got hot, I could always just go out, because it was colder outside a lot of the time, because my place would just kind of get hot and stay hot, because I'm on the top of a high building facing the sun in the evening. But because of the whole COVID, I think I'm going to be stuck inside for the whole summer in the heat, so I'm not looking forward to it. I promise not to post any shirtless, sweaty videos or anything. I'm going to have to try and make myself look like I'm not sweating bricks when I am. It's going to be really difficult. But I'm actually going to go. I just talk too much. I'm sorry.